Primetime, that's the name.
Primetime.
Primetime.
What time is it? Showtime, primetime.
It's XL Primetime, featuring Joe C.
Why in the world am I sitting back and being quiet about this?
Matt Hayes.
Oh my God, this is ridiculous.
And Leon Searcy.
If you can't hang with the big dogs, stay on the porch.
We got some big dogs in the house today. Matt Hayes on vacation, but we've got a carousel of coaches, accomplished coaches, and a carousel of championships and rings, as was pointed out by Big Leon Searcy last night, as we welcome you into a Beaver Toyota, Beaver Chevy, and Beaver Mitsubishi Tuesday. Big Search, you and I are bookends for a couple of coaches, and they've got rings today. Not only our head coach, Dave Campo, but another former Jaguar head or running backs coach, Gerald Ingram.
Oh, absolutely. There's a bling bling in the house.
Yeah.
Not every day you got, what we're talking. You're talking, 5-time Super Bowl champions, coaches?
Yeah.
In the building?
That's pretty good.
That's pretty special.
Now, you text out last night a total of how many rings?
Well, me included, it would be 9 rings. Because Coach Campo has three Super Bowl rings and a national championship.
Right.
Coach has 2 Super Bowl championships, and I got 3 national championships.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
9 rings.
Listen, this is prime time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the right moniker for this show.
The big stage. Coach Ingram, welcome back, I should say. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm blessed. I'm blessed with all the bling and the great people here.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, look, we appreciate you coming in. Coach comes in all the time and kind of drops a little knowledge on us. And so hopefully we'll be storytelling and you guys can make us a smarter bunch, especially if you're out and about or if you're on YouTube, just log on and check out the show. But we're going to just kind of talk about the Jags yesteryear and present day, what we think can happen with a couple of guys that have coached. Now, both of you guys have coached on both sides of the ball. You were a Pro Bowler on the offense at right tackle. We can figure a few things out today, I think. I think we can solve some football problems.
Yeah, but the thing I can appreciate about these 2 coaches who I played for, they're old school.
Yeah.
They're old school coaches. And I remember them like it was yesterday. I told you about Coach's keynote phrase in Miami and then playing against Coach in the Super Bowl and Super Bowl 30. And then, Coach Ingram here coached some of the greatest running backs to ever play it in Jacksonville. And then, played in championship games and then went with TC to New York and won, Super Bowls against the Patriots. So
yeah, exactly.
anytime you beat the Patriots is a good thing.
Absolutely.
When you think back, Coach Ingram, when you think back of just career-wise, who you've seen, who you've coached, all that kind of stuff, teams and coaches, what are like, is there like an order of memories? What do you think about most often?
Well, I've been blessed to have a lot of great players here and in New York.
Yeah.
And, if I had to rank some of the players that I've had, because they're all good in different ways, Fred Taylor, obviously doesn't get enough due for what he can do. He's a larger scale Barry Sanders with physical abilities. He can run you over. He can, he can out finesse you. He's going to make more than 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, 6 people miss. Yeah. He can do those kind of things. He's as humble of guy I've ever coached in my life.
Yeah.
He's more hard on himself than anybody can be on him, And when he was going through his issues, the thing that strikes to me is, he broke down and cried one day, and I couldn't understand. I was like, I can't believe I'm listening to this guy. He says, Coach, I don't get it. I said, I'm going through this injury, I'm going through that injury, and I don't know what's wrong. What am I doing wrong? I said, Coach, Fred, you're 4% body fat. You're 228 pounds. You run 4.3. When defenses have to prepare for you, you're one of the first guys they got to decide to stop.
Yeah.
Okay? You hurt people. I said, Fred, the only thing you can do is go to church more. That's all I can tell you. Okay? I says, you're trying everything, and you're humble. He wants to learn. He's caring. He's never been a selfish guy. I never heard one selfish thing about him. Tiki Barber, probably one of the smartest guys I've ever coached because he knew the offense as well as Eli Manning, the blitz protections, where to help offensive linemen in situations, running routes. He's a multifaceted type running back that, can be very effective in every down possible.
Yeah.
Natron Means, I think Natron here at Jacksonville helped James Stewart be a more physical player.
Probably true.
As he grew up here in Jacksonville. Just having him here the time that he was here. And Nate and Leon had Jerome Bettis.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are barrel-type guys. And for big guys, they had great feet. Jerome had awesome feet that I thought. Nate too. I'll never forget a run against Buffalo in the playoff game. And Kevin Gilbride, we're running a 39 sprint. And Fred damn near did the same thing. And he reversed the field, and Kevin Gilbride is throwing his headset on the ground. He's screaming and hollering, he's going and this and that. And then Tom Coughlin gets on the headset, Coach. He said, Kevin, he's still running.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Let the man
He's
work.
still running. He had that 35-yard run down the sideline. It wasn't supposed to go there. But, as a running back coach, you tell these guys, I said, yeah, you did something special that didn't fit the scheme. Okay, and we call that an attaboy. You can't get away with that all the time. Fred Taylor can do attaboys. He can destroy cover two. These cover two defensive coordinators and say, all right, we're going to defend the pass, and we got 4 decent players up front. We can squeeze them in. Not so fast. If it's first down, Fred can destroy cover two in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And that's where that run game needs to come back to Jacksonville.
Absolutely.
And Coach Campo, you are on the defensive side when both Freddie and Maurice Jones-Drew were here. So both of those guys you had to figure out how to game plan.
And the great thing about what Coach just said was last week I talked about that they had Fred on a show earlier, and they asked him, what running backs do you pattern yourself or who you saw and all that. And he was talking about, and I don't even remember who it was, but I can tell you this. The first thing he said was, well, he was a little better receiver than I was. And they stopped him and they said, now, wait a minute. What makes him a better receiver than you? I never saw you drop a pass. But it's the humbleness.
Yes, he is.
He was willing to say, okay, I love this guy.
Right.
And I kind of feel like I'm like him, but he's a better receiver than I was. But he really wasn't when it's all said and done.
I mean, I tell Aaron Beasley, I said, he did beat you one-on-one when you were at the Jets.
That's
on a deep ball. And I worked the camp with Rod Woodson. And I said, Rod, didn't Fred get you too? Because I kind of rubbed Rod a little wrong that one day at the second practice, I said, we were talking about corners and then we were talking about Tampa 2 teams and things like that. And I said, well, who do you think is the best corner in the NFL? And I said, Deion. Rod didn't handle that real well.
Hard time. The great ones have a hard time.
They're competitive now.
Yeah, the great ones have a hard time. But that was another thing that Fred said, though, Gerald, that you'll get a kick out of, is he said, but I could run a route now. Yeah. I can run a route as good as anybody. That's the one thing he said.
Coverage.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Fred. I mean, I couldn't appreciate the greatness around me when I was playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I know
right.
Fred. I know Fred is humble, but he needs to start speaking on his greatness because he was great. I knew the first time I knew he was great, Coach, is that we were scrimmaging the defense in the stadium for a scrimmage. And I think I think it was a 36 zone. This was his rookie year. We ran a 36 zone. He took it to the right. He bent it back to the left, right? And the corner, the safety, and the linebacker had angles on them, and he outran them.
Yeah.
All right?
Every one of them.
Every one of them. And I remember looking at Baselli like, well, we got us one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a litany of stories like that about Fred Taylor, and I can appreciate him, but he deserves to be in the Hall.
I was at Pitt with Tony Dorsett, and that same thing, he broke a run against Notre Dame, and I really didn't realize how good he was. He broke a run against Notre Dame, and there were 2 Pro Bowl safeties converged on him, had the angle, and he ran right by him, right through him. And I said, oh, my goodness, I can see why he wears a red jersey in practice because, I had been around a bunch of Division II guys and Division III guys, and all of a sudden I'm at Pittsburgh.
And he was special. I was able to watch him in high school. He's from my hometown area.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We talked about that, Yeah.
So he's from there. And that's why I always believe that you have a category for those kind of guys. If you're going to draft a running back in the first round, he might as well be a special guy.
Right.
To me, that's a special category.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to grade,
Right.
you know, Adrian Peterson,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, those kind of guys. You can find guys in the second and the third and fourth round, but to draft a first round guy, and that's what we saw in Fred, and they threw the ball a lot at Florida,
Yeah.
as opposed to running the ball.
Right.
But I mean, we went to the workout. He ran a 4.3 at the workout, but his ability to have suddenness
Yep.
to me is different in Fred. That, you know, if you have a guy who's one speed kind of guy, linebacker can chase him down, a strong safety. They can figure the speed through the hole, but Fred he can stop on a dime and just suddenly go right by you like it's the wind.
Yeah. When we had you in and we were talking about Freddie and his Hall of Fame credentials, suddenness was one of the words you used.
Right.
And I haven't forgotten it because that is what he was. Big, strong, but could stop on a dime, pivot, make you look silly.
Yes.
And then still could use power when he needed to. And the way he was used in Gainesville, they wanted to score first and then run later, run to win is how it went. And he was still so dang dynamic then too. His junior year, he really started to crest up. All right, so we got plenty to get to today, fellas. And we will do memory lane, and then we will talk about the staff that's here today, the team that's here today. So you guys hit the text line, Design by Lifetime Enclosure, 641-1010. We would love for you to jump in. You can go to YouTube. You can just immediately pop on YouTube, search XL Primetime. You can see the show, and you guys give us some thoughts there in the chat. Beaver Toyota, Beaver Chevy. I brag on them all the time. Coach and I have made purchases on both lots. Now they have Beaver Mitsubishi. So make sure you check them out. So basically, Mitsubishi's where the old Toyota store was, right there in the AUG on US 1. You got Beaver Chevy on Phillips Highway, and now you got Beaver Toyota 95 and 207 right there in St. Augustine as well. So love all of them. Make sure you check them out when you're looking for a new deal. All right, we got plenty to get into, mainly Jags, but we're going to also talk a little college ball as well, coming up on XL Primetime.
Wonder what Frank Frangie would be doing if he wasn't on 1010XL?
Came to LA to be an actor, failed miserably. Got a job hosting a local TV game show, failed moderately. Then he started to represent professional athletes and almost succeeded.
Frank Frangie, weekday afternoons on 1010XL.
Hey, poker players, Christmas in July is back at Best Bet, along with daily high hand promotions. This month, get ready to cash in on over $700,000 in high hands at all Best Bet locations. And ride the waves into Best Bet St. Augustine for chances to ride away on a Yamaha Wave Runner. From table games to tournaments, Best Bet has a spot for everyone. Visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com for all the exciting details.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Power bill just went up again? Why keep paying more? Clay Solar can wipe that electric bill out. Right now, they'll cover your first 6 months' payments. Visit claysolar.com today to schedule your free consultation. claysolar.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and the 4th of July weekend is upon us. And I know what you're thinking. I can't start a Waco 180 weight loss because I want to eat on that long weekend. Well, guess what? You can eat hamburgers on a Waco 180 weight loss. You can eat chicken, steak, or pork, too. You can even eat lobster because you're eating real food and losing weight. More important, it's fast, easy, and safe. No chemicals in your body, no counting calories or points, or any other fad diet. I can't stress this enough. You eat real food every single day. You know what else you're doing while losing weight with a Waco 180? Eliminating pain, fitting into clothes you haven't worn in years, sleeping through the night and waking up refreshed and energized. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on a Waco 180, and Hacker lost more than 110. You can lose whatever you want. It doesn't matter what your goal weight is. A Waco 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely by eating real food every single day. A Waco 180 weight loss is the clear path to success without disappointment. Give them a call, 844-346-1800, or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
The Black Friday and July event from Dell Technologies is here with great offers on trusted technology. You'll also discover huge deals on new AI-ready laptops like the Dell 14 Plus featuring Intel Core Ultra processors starting at $699.99. Save on top accessories, plus enjoy fast, free shipping and other benefits. Upgrade today by visiting Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
It's the Gator Podcast Channel with Frank Frangie and me, Dan Hicken, on all things Gators. Hacker and Denny Thompson have Gator Bites, and you can find them wherever you find podcasts or at 1010XL.com. Presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Yo, it's your main man E.T. here for Explore Clay. And Clay County is your destination this 4th of July. Start the morning with the Freedom 5K in Keystone Heights. Medals for the first 300 finishers and a scenic course through the shaded neighborhoods. Then enjoy the 57th annual celebration at City Hall with vendors, live music, and family fun. Wrap up the day at Moose Haven in Orange Park for the American Pride 4th of July, a free riverside event with food, live entertainment, and fireworks over the St. Johns River. Discover more at exploreclay.com.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
I'm Stacy, and I want to tell you about my fogged up window fiasco at my house. I called up Mac at Baker Glass, and he told me all I needed was a glass replacement. The process was so easy. All within a few days, they came out, measured, called me with an estimate, cut my glass, and came out to install the new ones. Now my view outside is fog-free thanks to Mac and his crew at Baker Glass. And my neighbors think I got some fancy new windows.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
If life blindsided you tomorrow, would your family struggle? I'm Cody with Harborstone Financial, and I can help. One call could protect your family for life. 904-885-9566. Harborstone Financial.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime, brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
19 minutes after the 2 o'clock hour, a treat to have a couple of Super Bowl winning coaches that are in studio with us, along with the Pro Bowler, Big Leon Searcy, Joe C, JJ, and we got Gerald Ingram, who was a running backs coach for a lot of years here in Jacksonville under TC, and then followed Coach Coughlin up to New York, and Coach Campo Camps, as they call him from back in the day, with his Super Bowl ring on as well. He didn't bring in all three today. So Coach Ingram said, I'm flashing mine. Coach brought in one. He's like, I could have brought in three, but not necessary.
I hope that's not 30, Coach. Do you got 30? That would just be heartbreaking if you brought in 30, Coach.
Yeah.
Is that Super Bowl 30 right there you have on?
That's the one.
Oh.
Listen, we were at Leon's golf tournament the other day, Coach and I, and I had just as much fun. I didn't bring my rings, and Coach did, and I was up on the putting green putting for the group that came through.
Right.
I had more fun saying, hey, look, if you want to get a picture of a Super Bowl ring, Coach Ingram's right over there. He's got two of them over there, and this is how humble he is. When I got over there, they're sitting there, and he every one of them, he said, this guy's got 3 Super Bowls, and when he talks about Fred Taylor, he's talking about himself at the same time, which is fantastic.
We should have had one here in Jacksonville. I still have dreams and nightmares of that whole situation. We were probably the best team in the NFL, to be honest.
And we're going back to 1999.
Oh, definitely. And Tom talked about it. Yeah. I mean, when we won 07, Tom talked about it to the team. Mm-hmm. We were the best. And I said, you have one shot, and don't believe the hype. When you play that game, it's about that one game.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. But the best game of that year probably was the playoff, was the game we played New England before we played the Super Bowl.
It was a massive, at the end of the regular season.
Phenomenal game.
Yeah. And so we asked Leon, and you jump in because this is what drives us crazy all the time.
I mean, listen, the 99 team is probably the best team that I ever played on my whole career.
Yeah.
And even the Super Bowl team with the Steelers. because we had so much talent on both sides of the ball. You're talking about 8 Pro Bowlers in that season. And here's the scary thing about that game, though, because this is kind of what I knew we were going. The game was already won by the Titans, because we were up 14-10, and a lot of stuff happened like towards the end of the half or whatever, and the guys in the locker room was panicking. They were losing it, but they were. I had a certain calm about it. I said, wait a minute, fellas, we still got the lead.
Right.
Why y'all panicking? Why y'all stressed out about it? Because we had lost to them earlier. I mean, that shouldn't seal our fate moving forward. We still got another half of football, but it was just that the uncertainty.
It was
in the locker room.
Wasn't it kind of shocking?
Yeah, it was.
I didn't, in the 3 games we lost to them, I never once felt they were better than us. Yeah. Not one game did I. I just kept thinking each one was a fluke, and it was like, okay, let's stop Steve McNair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you look at it,
No, but Coach, you know what? The first loss to the Titans, we lost Neil O'Donnell.
Yeah.
And that's the Super Bowl coach the Super Bowl quarterback that got him.
Hey, listen, I'm not saying a word.
We ain't talking about Pittsburgh. That's all right. We'll let the Jets feel bad about that one.
You see that Cowboy Super Bowl ring, you see Neil O'Donnell.
Yeah, there it is, right there, baby.
But what was it? And there's I'm sure there are certain games that you think about over and over and over how you could have called X play. Then when you think about it, Coach Ingram, when you think about just certain situational pieces, getting Steve McNair down on the ground was never, ever going to be an easy task. Stopping Eddie George was never going to be an easy task.
But we did.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
The quarterback was the issue that day.
Yeah.
But that was his career.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like handling Lamar. Lamar's definitely a better phenomenal runner than Steve, but Steve was big, solid, strong. You couldn't bring him down. With one arm tackle. You just couldn't.
Yeah.
But I would say one thing about our division back in the day here in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
The AFC was strong.
That was the AFC Central tube going back to 1999.
It was strong. It was physical. Yeah. We had to find ways in the offseason as a staff. We had to say, hey, we got to win the division. That's the team. I mean, that's what we had to prepare in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Win our division. There was no weak team in our division.
No, because Coach, we had to go to the Ravens. We had to play the Ravens twice, the Steelers twice, the Bengals twice, and then, by the way, the Titans twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, during our Super Bowl years back in the NFC East was a power division. Yes. I always felt, you've heard me say this many times, that I felt that the division prepared us for the playoffs.
Yes.
Because once you get to the playoffs, it's bad weather, it's this and that. You got to have some physicalness to your football team, and I think it.
But as you and I talked about on the golf course, we also said when we practiced against each other, we knew our defense was tough. We knew we were tough offensively.
Yeah.
You're out there to get tough in camp, to be physical in camp, because we knew what the season was going to be like. Right. This pass and tap thing, I can't tell if they're 7-on-7 or who's going to kiss each other. I don't know.
It'll drive you crazy.
Yeah.
So from y'all's time, which Leon he gets scolded every once in a while, stay in his era, okay? But y'all's time with full pads Friday, 2-a-days, all that stuff, and you just said what you said about this, about the way things are going now. How do you get this team in today's world tougher than they have been the last couple of years?
Just because you have the time restraints, you have to make better demands of your time.
That's it.
You have your expectation level. When you pad up, we hit. We're hitting.
It's all what you say more than what you do at this point. It's what you expect.
Because I grew up with Bo Schembechler, and he had 4-hour practices. But you know what stood in my mind over the years? He said, "Man, we're going to have an hour and a half long practice." We're like, "Oh my gosh, really? We ain't never had that." I'm going to tell you, it stayed in my head for years. It was the best, hardest hitting. It was almost like a scrimmage. You know how you talked about you had goal line on Fridays in Pittsburgh, or your first day. I mean, you used to show Crunch. What was that movie, Crunch? you'd love to hear the helmet crack.
Yeah.
I don't hear any helmets anymore.
Okay, so we have too many injuries, is what you hear.
Yes.
The calendar coach moves. You were a head coach. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Right. The calendar is never ending. These guys wanted more time off. And then the next thing you know, you come back and you can't hit nearly as often as you could.
I really feel like the collective bargain agreement guys killed it.
Yeah, they did.
In other words, the players led to some of this, the difference in players between back in the day and today, or when they started this, you can't be in the facility over so many hours. You can't, OTAs are about half of what they were. Camp is definitely not the same, So I think some of it was that. And honestly, the soft tissue issues they're having right now is because of that. Mm-hmm. Now, they may not have as many ACLs and all that, I don't know. But I know that the soft tissue injuries are a result of not having enough football work.
Yes, and the other issue is, you have to address it. The amount of pay changed the game.
Right.
Contracts changed the game, and we started to see that. Am I right? In the Pro Bowl, you started to see guys saying, "I'm not gonna, can you not?" Can we just not have me out there? Can we not hit? I'm kind of in a contract situation right now, and this is just an all-star game.
Right.
Where back in the day, it was a pride thing to be NFC, AFC.
And you could double.
I fought like a dog in the street to get my Pro Bowl. I did. Yeah.
You're going to show it on that.
Exactly.
On that day.
Because, listen, the reason why I say that is because in my time, my era, only left tackles went to the Pro Bowl. Yeah. So I had to wait in line after the Richmond Webbs first I had to wait in line for the Richmond Webbs and the what's the left tackle from the Broncos, Zimmerman and all. So I had to wait because I was a young puppy. So then when I got in my prime, when I'm ready to go to the Pro Bowl, then there's Baselli and Rolfe and all the other guys.
And all
those guys. So when I finally made it in '99, I was like, listen. It was an honor to go to the Pro Bowl back in the day because it was the best against the best. You wanted to compete.
And you were collecting a check for the winning team, too,
Absolutely.
right? That was double than the other one, I believe.
Was double. It was double.
Yeah.
And for the winner and the loser.
I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. Only a few guys cared about that check.
Yeah.
Most of the guys cared about, like he said, pride. But I'm going to tell you something. I'll never forget, it was Shannon Sharp. We went into overtime. Were you there? We went overtime. And he goes to Tom. Tom, I got a plane to catch, Coach. Now that difference in $4,000 in that game. Yeah. So Ben Coach had to take the rest of the time.
I hate to tell you, but I like that check. I don't know about the players, but we weren't making enough in Dallas. I kind of like that $4,000 different check.
But it is true. We were rattling off numbers yesterday, Coach. The Cristiano Ronaldo, what he's going to get to go play in Saudi Arabia. It's crazy, like $4.7 million a week. Okay, that's what he was making. So there's money everywhere. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just signs the extension. What was it, JJ? 278, something like that, $284 million. He signed the max. And so there's money everywhere for these guys. And so you're right. It softens their pursuit a little bit, maybe. Right. Just a little bit. Not the genuine ones, right? That are going to be able to go do whatever it takes.
Still does, because there's always somebody in their ear talking about, their marketability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you do too much of this, it can cause this. And the fear of everybody has a fear in the NFL. Nobody likes how their career ends.
Mm-hmm.
Very few guys do. Of possibly getting older, cut, or injury.
Right.
So if it happens in practice, coaches are a bad guy.
Yeah.
If the organization makes a decision because you wanted to keep a guy, but because of the collective bargaining, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to go.
Yeah.
So they're kind of left, those guys are kind of like, they got a chip on their shoulder for a long time. Some guys, they still have a chip.
I don't doubt
how
it.
their careers ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, hats go off to these players nowadays. They collective bargaining. I'm not hating on them. I just know that when I played in my time, I needed to go full speed because that's how I was going to play. Mm-hmm. How am I going to stop a bull rush if I don't see it in practice? How am I going to chase after a linebacker who's crossing my face and trying to get your head play side if you don't see it in practice? A down block. I gotta go physical with the down block because in the game, you're gonna need me to make that down block. So I had to get my body and my mind acclimated in training camp so it will prepare me to go throughout the season.
Yeah. All right, let's spend the next seg talking about where we think this team can go. Leon and I have done it a bunch. Coach Campbell and I do the podcast all the time, but let's get both of you coaches in on where you think this team can go. Coaches that you're familiar with that are on the staff that you think can help direct this thing coming up. All right, let's do that coming up. Beaver Chevy, Beaver Toyota, Beaver Mitsubishi, brand new line of cars. Make sure you check them out. My buddy Cameron is running the sales department down in St. Aug. He will happily take care of you. You can, of course, check out all 3 lots. Chevy, Toyotas, Mitsubishi, all part of the Beaver Automotive Group.
There's new life in Duval.
All aboard!
Get on board. This train is about to roll. 1010XL.
David Lane here, and once again, I'm happy to share news of my success with back and knee surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Whatever it is that's bothering you, take it from me. Simply set an appointment today at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists and let them help you get back to normal life. I'm certainly glad I did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Joe C for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite roofing contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjacks.com.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? If you have questions, call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
It's your go-to for golf talk. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
All we need to do is develop the rest of your game. Then you'll be unstoppable, son.
Get local updates, gear reviews, and all things golf talk. Saturday mornings at 10 on 1010XL. This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On July 1st, 1982, Cal Ripken made the first of his record 2,216 consecutive MLB starts at shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles.
As a contractor, finding reliable subcontractors is key to project success. Prosser here. Guys, that's where Lloyd's Heating and Air shines. Not just your mechanical HVAC experts, but your partner, understanding every facet of construction to keep your project on track. Lloyd's will spot issues early before they cause delays. If you're a contractor with a need for reliability, visit LloydsHeatingandAir.com. Lloyd's Heating and Air, keeping you comfortable in every season.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods, a Jacksonville family business for nearly 70 years. Heck, I've been talking about them for over a decade. The Thompson family's secret, Dandy is never frozen. Always fresh baked bread with quality meats and cheeses. No dry, crumbly subs here. Only soft and tasty deliciousness. When I see that logo with the little guy with the cane on the label, it tells me I'm getting a trusted brand and a quality sandwich. So do what I do. Stop in at a Circle K and make yours a Dandy today.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime, brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
Hope we hold off the rain today. It seems like every afternoon that's going to happen, but it has been in the 90s. Somebody said, I think it might have been Jaguars today earlier, said that it has touched 90 degrees like 20 days in a row. So it has been hot as blazes. You need a little Florida Home AC in your world, so definitely check them out. All right, we've got 2 Super Bowl winning coaches. Our head coach, Dave Campo. Gerald Ingram's with the Jags for a number of years with Tom Coughlin, then followed him up to New York to coach up the Giants on their way to winning a couple of Super Bowls. And, of course, our Pro Bowler, our Hurricane Hall of Famer. What would you rather be identified as? A Hurricane Hall of Famer?
Both.
Yeah, both. Yeah. You're like the
Pro
Travis,
Bowl as well.
You're like the Travis Hunter of 1010XL. Yeah, both. All right, it's beautiful. Now, we're going to go down memory lane in just a little bit as far as some of the great freshmen that we saw in college football. We mentioned a bunch of them yesterday, and then Leon's got a list of his own that we want to get to as well. And then you guys might think of a couple of great freshmen that you saw in your college days or just watching college. But let's focus on the Jags right here, right now. How much do you think we can see improvement-wise? Coach, you go on record as far as where do you think you can see this team going improvement-wise based on all the changes?
Well, I think they brought in enough guys to where they have a chance to get it going, not so much in physical ability, but in just the energy level and the guys that love the game of football. And I think that means something. So to me, it comes down to Trevor Lawrence, but I think the front, if they can run the football, to me, that's the key to the whole thing with Trevor. If they can run the football, then I think Trevor's going to show that he has the physical ability of a top 10 quarterback, but it's, we need to take a little pressure off him, and I think that's the way they do it. So I'm looking at, to be honest with you, I think the key is going to be protecting him, and I think the defense, the interior front, is going to be the key to the whole thing. If Mason Smith and Armstead moving in there, and if the nose guard,
we need Devon Hamilton and some of those guys to step up.
If they can come along, I can literally see this team doubling their wins total.
Yeah. So if we can make 8,
if you look at 8, I would say that's realistic. And I think if they do that, they got a shot at the division, to be perfectly honest with you, because I don't think the division's that good, and I don't think that Houston's as good as everybody's saying.
Yeah, the division winner's barely been above 500 the last handful of years.
Right.
But Coach Ingram, you know this as well as anybody. They need to run the damn ball.
Yes, they do. They have to commit to the run game. And they have to commit themselves to being a physical team and be thought of as a physical team. I think, last year was a shocker to everybody here in Jacksonville. No one anticipated what they had on paper.
Yeah.
Now, here we go again, and we say, all right, we've elevated certain areas. We need to push the pocket inside on defensively. We need to make sure we communicate better. We're not giving up good plays. And we got to win the one-score games. Okay, we have to finish better. Okay, is the physical play and mental detail of this team. I see us turning the ball over and not getting the ball enough at times. I see mental mistakes being made and sense of detail, making breaks out of routes, coming back to the ball, standing there, and I still wonder who the leaders are on this team. So if we're not trying to cultivate who is a leader on this team and who are the leaders of each group of this team and making each other accountable. See, we don't play, as coaches, we don't play the game. The players have to play the game, okay? They have to do it. They have to want it, and they have to bring themselves together. But as coaches, just because you bring this player in and that player in doesn't mean they actually cohesively work together, okay? You're going to have to find ways as a staff to cultivate the locker room, okay? You're going to have to, in your meetings, get away from the X's and O's a little bit and say, hey, okay, we're an offensive player, but you know what? We're going to learn defense today. We're a defensive player. We're going to spend more time learning offense. all right, and somebody be the educated leader in the room so we as fans can see how they're winning and losing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we see the same thing over and over again, and there's something missing. You know, we get a little bit of taste here and there, but I don't know who the leaders are.
Oh, I think it's a great point.
But it starts with the quarterback. And you know, you can say a lot of things about Eli Manning, okay? I don't know if this team knows enough situation football, but you put Eli Manning in a 2-minute drill, okay? I'm a little bit different than you. I want to put more pressure on Trevor, okay? I expect him to be the leader, but I expect him to coach his team about situation football, okay? And make everybody accountable for, hey, win the game. There's too many other quarterbacks playing better than you.
Right. And he has to.
And
know
it's
that,
okay.
right? Yeah.
It's okay for, you know, I watched Bill Belichick talk about how hard he was on Tom Brady. Who says just because he's your quarterback, you can't make the same demands that you do an offensive lineman or a linebacker or anybody else? Yeah. He treated everybody the same. Mm-hmm. And Tom Brady respected that.
And
now,
responded.
he's either, hey, Trevor's either got to do it or not.
Yeah.
Or you got to put pressure on him with somebody else and say, you know what? We might have to look at somebody else just for the future or just so you understand that you're not just the only doctor in the room. Yeah. Okay.
Jump in, Big.
Well, Coach, here's the thing, Coach. I agree with everything you're saying. You got to definitely put more pressure on Trevor because he's been coddled too long. And when you get the bag, there's expectations for you as a player when you get the bag.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be the motivation. The motivation should be winning. Winning the division, winning in the playoffs, winning the Super Bowl. That's everybody's aspiration coming into the season. And, Coach, I talked about this team being mentally weak last year.
Yeah.
You know, because in the fourth quarter, with the money on the line, they came up short every time. And I know when I was at Miami, Coach Johnson, he simulated situations. He put us in situations where it's the fourth quarter, you're down this, you got to go this. And he would do it after we ran gases.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right? We did it with Coach Coughlin. Yeah. They would put us in situations
where you had
quarter,
to reach down.
Where you had to reach down while you're tired. Because the same guy, you're tired, the same guy across you's tired as well. It's a war of wheels. It's a war of wheels.
Right.
All right? You beat your man, we win. Especially in the fourth quarter when everything's on the line. Mm-hmm. And you put us in a situation, hey, listen, you're down 5, you got one timeout, you got 1:20, you got to go 60 yards and score.
Yeah. And there hasn't been enough of that.
You asked the question about, you know, what you think they can do. Mm-hmm. You asked, what does this team have to do to get what Gerald said as far as the mental part? Right. It's mental now. Yeah. It's not, you can simulate some of the physical part, but it's not enough. It's what these guys are saying right now. You got to say that to your team over and over and over and over again to where it becomes a part of them that they're going to win in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but you have to put them in those situations.
Put them in a situation.
Because like Leon's saying, you know, being tired, you're in Florida.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you play you play a Jaguar team in Florida.
That's an advantage.
That's an advantage.
For you.
Because you're going to have to be mentally and physically conditioned for the heat. We played Pittsburgh one year and they wanted to get off the field. Okay?
Yeah.
When the players started changing the amount of time out there, I had to tell my players, I said, guys, you guys going to be ready for the first 19-play drive? I'm only talking about one. You better start running after practice because this practice is way too short to think that, and you're not even playing preseason games anymore.
Right.
That's a whole nother story in itself.
Yeah.
So when are you going to get that? And then all of a sudden now we have these soft tissue injuries and this and that. So
Tom McManus said this the other day. He said exactly what you did. He goes, you know, one thing I didn't really like about practices in the training camp, in the OTAs, I didn't see them conditioning all that.
They didn't run afterwards. Now, they may do that in training camp, but Leon definitely
that's a little bit of a concern to me.
Yeah.
But
when we came back for camp, like back in the day when we came back for like OTAs or mini camps with the manager, we had a conditioning test.
Yeah, the 110s.
When you came back.
Just to make sure you were
to make sure you were putting in work.
And that's all. I feel like the demand, it can happen, but the demand on toughness, the demand on mental sharpness, the demand on finishing, all these things need to come together.
Absolutely.
Now, we don't know 100% if this staff is going to do it. I like what we've seen from Liam Cohen. Coach Ingram, I think you mentioned a couple guys that you know on that staff that you like. Coach Campo definitely has guys on that staff that he likes as well. But that's what we need to see, that coming together of getting the most out of the player and getting the best players on the field.
I like this coach's demeanor because of the quarterback, but I like some of the coaches he has on staff. Yeah. See, not everybody is going to be Bill Parcells or Tom Coughlin, and it's fine. Yeah. You should never change who you are.
Right.
But if you hire enough people on that staff, or you have the right type of players that elevate people.
Right.
You know, that's where you get Tony Dungy's not going to change.
Right.
But they had the most respect for him.
And
so I like this guy from a teacher standpoint. Okay. Kevin Gilbride was a great teacher as an offensive coordinator, and Chris Palmer. They were great teachers. They were great offsets. You know, and they could still be. I mean, they had the Irish blood in them too now.
Yeah.
Okay. But they were really good teachers where Tom, you know, this is what is expected of you. All right. You can get excited about this great play and this phenomenal run. As you said once before, isn't that what we paid you to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what this
you need to get in the end zone.
That's what this Campanile brings to the table, in my opinion. And I think that's, you know, when I heard him say, you got to whip his ass.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. My wife's listening. I apologize.
Sorry,
I went through that once before in Dallas. I've cleaned up.
Yeah.
But Campanile is that type of a guy.
Yeah, I think he's trying to teach these guys to reach that point where it's a bend but don't break, where you don't break. You take care of business.
Right.
Yeah, he's holding them accountable. I mean, if I was Liam Cohen with my first ass, I would come in the meeting room and say, listen, the days of old are done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The days of losing are done. And that you've got to imprint in these guys' heads that you're no longer losers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to start there first.
And
you got to get
That's what I'm saying. That's the mental part of it.
Yeah.
You can't. No more can you put the pads on Friday.
Yeah.
You can't do it. But you can, just like these guys are talking about, you can beat it into their brain that this is how you're going to do it, and this is how you get it.
It's ones against ones. You're not going against ones against twos.
Yeah.
You need ones against ones.
Right.
And everybody's got to play special teams. You got to win offense, defense, and special teams here.
Yeah.
But, you know, the most important thing, I think even, you know, the Super Bowl years that you have had, you found ways to win. I don't care how.
Yeah.
Sometimes you win because of defense. Sometimes you win because
you
of
win
offense.
2 of the 3 phases
You know,
most of the time.
sometimes your defense or whoever it is a spark, but be a spark.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm watching the game, Jaguar game. I'm like, who's gonna be? I'm waiting for the spark.
Right.
Yeah, listen, in Super Bowl 30, the Cowboys jumped on us like real fast, 10-0, right? Mm-hmm. The Cowboys played like they had been there before because they had. We hadn't been there before. So before we knew it, they were up 10-0.
Right.
We didn't settle down until like the end of the second quarter, going in right before halftime.
Right.
But they played their game. They jumped on us early. We scrambled about.
Yeah.
And then we got our wits about it.
Then the spark occurred.
Yeah.
Because you guys could have very well won that football game.
So, I mean,
you didn't have time.
The Cowboys played like they'd been there.
Yeah, like one side was doubt and the other side was confident.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we didn't get on our feet until like at halftime. We took a breath and say, hey, it's still just a football game.
Right.
Let's go out there and make the most of it. When we relaxed, we came out, we made it close. Now, the interception still hurt us, but, we were driving. We were down 20-17 with 3 minutes to go in the game at the 50-yard line.
Yeah. So you made it a game. There ain't no doubt about that. Yeah. And that's the essence of what this football team needs to do. There's nothing. Let's make this the 10-10 take real quick before we head to the top of the hour.
Now, Joe C's 10-10 take. Slow smoked and served up by Sonny's Barbecue. Local pit masters since 68.
You got Sonny's all over the First Coast, and I tell you what, Independence Day's coming up. You can get you a big old rack of ribs that day, but you can be independent today if you want. You're craving ribs, chicken, pork, turkey, whatever it might be, head on into any one of your area Sonny's. It does come down to the want and the will that Leon always talks about. But when you think about where this team is going, if they ultimately can get the job done, this team was 3-10 in one-score games. It cannot continue. Flip that card. I don't know how hard it's going to be to flip that card in one-score games, but that is what the NFL is made of. That's what Sundays are made of. And you have to figure out, like you guys are saying, find the guy that will make the play, create the spark, and get on the right side of the scoreboard. That's the 10-10 take, because they were in a handful of ball games that they just didn't know how to finish. That's the spark you're talking
about. Well, listen, first of all, you got to win at home. Okay? You got to win at home. You got to go undefeated, at worst 6-2 at home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 6-3. Well,
yeah. Depending on the number of games.
And then listen, you go 7-2 at home or whatever, or 6-3, and then you go 50-50 on the road. Guess what? That's playoffs.
Yeah, you're in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way you got to look at it. But you got to win here first.
Yes. Those sudden change plays.
We had a season where they called us in 2007, the team that beat the New England Patriots that were undefeated. We lost all our home games and won all our road games.
That's just crazy.
Go figure that one out.
Yeah.
They called us road warriors.
You got to win more than the other team does.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, you got to do that. Okay? All right? We played Green Bay one year, and Green Bay came down, and he says, are your fans like this every week? They booed the heck out of us. I said, hey, if you lose in New York, I don't care if it's hockey. That's New York. They're going to boo the heck out of you.
Yeah, they're going to wear
because they want to win, period. Okay? So, but like Leon said, you got to win the games you're supposed to win. Yeah. We lost too many games over the last 3 years on games that we knew we should have won.
100%.
You know, we didn't finish it. We didn't hold on to it. We didn't have enough whatever to get it done. And I think that's what gives the fans a bad taste. Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah, well, it gives Joe a bad taste.
And we have and for the most part, we have a fairly young team here. So who are the leaders that are going to be the example setters? Because we're young throughout the whole organization. Now, it's great to have Tony Baselli here.
Yeah.
Okay? Because he is toughness and
understands winning.
And he understands winning.
Yeah.
And I don't care what it is, okay, and what the expectation level is going to be. So it's good to have him in the office, and we'll see that he can get in their ear. You know, he can develop these guys and pull them in the office and say, I'm just going to tell you what my perspective is.
Right.
And where we need to get to.
Yeah.
And I know Tony, if Tony needs to get down and dirty behind closed doors, and if he's got to tell somebody an SOB, I think he will.
All right, let's use that as our jumping off into the next hour, because I do love that, because that needs to happen in the building for it to show up on Sundays. XL Primetime, Beaver, Chevy, Toyota, Mitsubishi, all three strong lineups of cars. Make sure you check out all of their lots, the Beaver Automotive Group.
And now, the starting lineup.
The Drill Mornings. Jaguars today, 10 to noon. Helmets and heels. Noon to 2. XL Primetime. 2 to 4. The Frangie Show. 4 to 6. Into the night with Rick Ballou and Hacker After Dark. Evenings on 1010 XL.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville is full of memorable sports moments. Remember Hal Sutton when he famously said, "Be the right club today"? Well, that's what Coil Fencing delivers. The right fence today. And they've been delivering the right fencing for both commercial and residential properties for nearly 100 years. If you're in the market for a new fence, call Coil & Sons today at 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
Hacker here, and guess what my scale reads? 195 pounds. I'm shocked seeing that number, but it's there every month. The weight is staying off after dropping 122 pounds. Absolutely life-changing. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage too.
The Combine, free agency, the draft.
We're professionals. We have a job to do, a season to plan.
Follow the road to the regular season with AA Automotive on Richard Street. Family run since 1954 and 1010XL.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Dan Hicken with a game changer. I've tested the field, and Checkmate Coatings is my new go-to for durable, jaw-dropping floor coatings. Better play, better results.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coatings. We coat it all: garages, pool decks, driveways, and patios. Be the envy of your neighbors.
Slam dunk your floors at checkmatecoatings.com. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
What NFL stadium has been used the longest by an NFL team?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Green Bay's Lambeau Field has been used by the Packers since 1957, a span of over 60 years.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. You're on-road, you're off-road, now you're on the water. Greg, tell everybody what Coach and Honda is offering in the form of boats.
We've got the Honda boat, which is a great runabout fisherman. We've got the Coach boats. They're fantastic for getting out with a family. Nice lay-down beds, all with that legendary Honda motor on them.
Check them all out. They're waiting for you. You can see how you can be on the water with Honda or with Coach pontoon boats. Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out The Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At The Y, summer camps every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Registration is now open for the Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament. Over $250,000 in cash and prizes available, with payouts up to 20 places. Of course, there's great prizes for lady anglers, and bring along your junior anglers as well. Register today at kingfishtournament.com. Even if you're not on the water, spectators will enjoy fun exhibits, food, kids' activities, and a fireworks display at the Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament.
David here with Royal Pest Services. It's back. Our summer Centricon Termite Special. New installs begin as low as $249. And if you have existing Centricon, but your renewal is through the roof, we can transfer you to Royal at no cost. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free estimate.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Kuhn Flowers. The Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp will begin a new series this evening against the Charlotte Knights at 7:04. They'll play the first 3 games of the series up in Charlotte before heading back home to VyStar Ballpark for the final 3 games beginning Friday, July 4th. Righty Josh White will make his first Triple-A start for the Shrimp tonight, but has a 6-0 record and 1.27 ERA pitching for the Pensacola Blue Wahoos of Double-A. 4-star defensive lineman Kendall Gerville out of Fort Myers will be making his decision, where he'll continue his academic and athletic career tomorrow, July 2nd. 6'4", 315-pound stud has his top 3 schools narrowed down to Florida, Florida State, and Texas. After visiting the Gators back on June 13th, On3's director of recruiting Chad Simmons has predicted Gerville to commit to the Gators. It's 84 degrees at 3:01, time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime, brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
3 o'clock hours here, XL Primetime. Thanks for hanging out with us. Beaver Chevy, Beaver Toyota, Beaver Mitsubishi now part of their lineup as they open up their brand new Toyota store, 95 and 207. So you in the AUG know that. But if you're up and down the corridor, as I like to call it, I-95, you will see the brand new Beaver Toyota right next to the Best Bet St. Augustine. And then, of course, you got Beaver Chevy on Phillips Highway and now Beaver Mitsubishi in the AUG. So we are hanging out, Joe C., along with our Hurricane Hall of Famer Leon Searcy, our head coach Dave Campo, and Gerald Ingram, running backs coach here in Jacksonville. And then he went up with TC and has 2 Super Bowl rings. Flash them to the YouTube audience right now, Coach. 2 Super Bowl rings. Coach, you got one of your 3 Super Bowl rings.
Should have been mine, but go ahead.
You should have brought yours, okay? A national championship ring as well. But we're talking championships here, and we'll finish out this hour with a few more trips down memory lane, and then obviously focusing in on the Jags one more time. But it was the energy. We kind of felt it go up, talking about what it's going to take to win. And you guys all know how you got to operate on that higher energy level to get the job done. So when we think of great leaders, and I think it's a good point that Coach Ingram brought up, and look, it might even be a delicate subject, Leon, who are the leaders on either side of the football right now? And we've had a tough time identifying them. Mm-hmm. Josh Hines-Allen could be that guy. Trevor could be that guy. But where else? You got to look far and wide.
I don't know. I mean, but that needs to be established because the locker room's important. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many different personalities or whatever. You got to know who the guys. I don't want to say the guys to go to, but the guys who set the example of what the team should look like.
Coach Ingram with that ringer.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. You got to have the guys in there who will set the tempo for what this team, the toughness, the mental toughness. I'll give you an example. Okay, the one year I went to the Ravens, right? Mm-hmm. So I got hurt with Jacksonville. I ended up signing with the Ravens, and I'm going to it's OTAs, right? First day of camp, whatever. So I'm excited about the fact that I'm healthy and I can play again and everything like that. So I get up real early in the morning. I said I'm going to be the first one in the locker room when it opens and stuff like that. I drive in the parking lot, and there's a car there. There's a truck there. And I pull up beside the truck, and it's Ray Lewis, who had just been Super Bowl MVP, won the Super Bowl. It's 5:45 in the morning. He's the first guy there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, leadership. Mm-hmm. I mean, he just won the Super Bowl. He was Super Bowl MVP. You can relax now. You've accomplished something. You would think. But at 5:45 in the morning, he was the first guy. I thought I was going to be the first guy there. Yeah. I pull up. He rolls down the window. He says, "What's up, Big Sirs?"
Yeah.
I said, "Man, you beat me here, really?" He said, "Nothing changed, bro."
Yeah.
Ain't nothing changed. That's leadership. That's what I'm talking about.
And that's what we've been looking for, right? Guys that you knew were flat-out leaders that you knew you could count on.
Yeah, and I know Gerald's going to have some. Coach is going to have some. To me, when I look back, we had 2 with the Cowboys, and that was Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin. Mm-hmm. When Troy Aikman walked in the huddle, nobody said a word. That was it, and you better be. He held everybody accountable, including the coaching staff. There's a really good clip of him ripping everybody on the coaching staff and the players in a ball game. But he had that. You have to perform in order to have that happen. But some people just have that leadership quality. Michael Irvin, if I was going to start a football team tomorrow, after listening about Ray Lewis, it might be Ray Lewis as a defensive guy. But I would start it with Michael Irvin because Michael Irvin, there was no question that he was there for ball, and that's it. And even when he was off the field, he's thinking football. And let me just say this. There's one guy on the Jaguars right now that I would be surprised that isn't one of those guys, and that's Lewis, the kid that they got from Dallas.
He does.
The kid that's going to be the nickelback.
Yeah, vocal. In other guys' face.
Great personality. One of those kind of guys that everybody gravitates to. He thinks he can play anywhere. If you said to me for him to play wide receiver, he could play wide receiver. That's the kind of guy to me that might be a leader. And again, we're looking for him. Right.
And we heard a little bit from him, coaching him during OTAs and minicamp. And Jordan Lewis, who got paid to come here and instantly step in as a starter at the nickel position. But he said, look, it's my job to try and play the best I possibly can and make these guys around me better. And he was mentioning Jarian Jones and Monteric Brown and Travis Hunter and some of these other guys. I loved it. Instantly kind of recognizable as a leadership quality kind of guy.
See, we were in New York. Antonio Pierce, who was former head coach with the Raiders, he was like Ray Lewis. He was there when we got there, 5 in the morning. He'd get there right when Tom would come in, and he would leave. The players had left. He wouldn't leave until almost 8 o'clock at night. And he just wanted to be the guy. He always wanted to be the guy. When we were here, and Mike Strahan, you couldn't find a better person.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When you have people like that, and I thought when they had Calais here, I kind of thought Calais Campbell was he was a very valuable guy.
Oh yeah.
Keenan McCarter was a very valuable guy for Jimmy Smith and other players because you can see why Keenan has become a coach because he believed in the X's and O's of the game. Yeah, he wasn't selfish, but he understood, more than just his position. I couldn't find any better here when we had bookends. And I talked to Leon last week about it. I said, you know what? We still had the same talent, skill. But when Tony and Leon got hurt, it changed.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you had a more vocal guy than Leon. Because all Leon had to do was come out and punch somebody, and it's like,
that was hands.
Whoa, that was it. Or whenever he spoke, kind of like how he is now. If he spoke, he's kind of like your dad.
Yeah, he's got a little E.F. Hutton in him right now.
Let's not piss him off.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're going to listen because he didn't speak all the time. Because some people can speak too much.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you have bookends, they were, because Mark Brunell was going to be Mark Brunell. Okay. And Mark is going to be the technician of things.
Right.
But having those two guys, okay, and I have to tell you one story about Tony Bastelli. We're playing, and we have Steve Berline as our starting quarterback.
Okay, 1995.
Okay?
Yeah.
And, and Steve is such a competitor. And Tony and Steve get into a scuffle on the sideline on a 3-step drop sack. And here he is, your rookie starting tackle is having a heck of an argument on the sideline with your starting quarterback. And they're both going at it. But to be honest, I think the players kind of saw it as though these guys want to win.
Yeah.
They took their job personally.
And if I'm gonna do this, you better do this for us to be successful.
Yeah.
And that 3-step drop means that ball's got to get out
better be out.
fast.
I know Baselli wasn't going to take accountability for a 3-step sack. I can promise you that.
All right, so here's the double barrel question from a running backs coach's point of view.
Yes, sir.
Running backs, I firmly believe, do not make a living. And we can use Ashton Genty as an example this year as a rookie. How good will he be? I don't know. But they don't make a living or prosper if you do not have 5 guys up front aligned, like Leon and Tony, like you're describing. Can they get there this year with the group that they've got, in your estimation? Because everyone wants to pan ETN and ship him off, but that line's
I don't think I don't think what we saw out of him out of 2 years, he has the ability. Now, do you want him to have more magic? He's not Fred Taylor.
Right.
There's a difference. But you can still bottle Fred. Now, we had Dom Capers here as a defensive coordinator, and we played Detroit Lions, and we bottled, for the most part, as best we could, Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
You didn't let him get started.
Right.
So depending on what you're doing, X's and O's wise, and do the guys buy into the scheme of how you're going to contain a guy like that, there are ways you can do it. Then in the NFL, you have to find the consistency to do it. And will guys be disciplined enough to stay in their gaps and defend themselves? I think the kid has done enough on one-on-one situations. If you can get him to the next level, he can make enough plays. He can catch the ball. What would I like to see him do more of the last couple of years? He's the same body type as McCafferty. Why wouldn't you use him like you do McCafferty?
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Why wouldn't you put him in linebacker coverage? Why wouldn't you, it's just get the defense to play up so you can get your dig routes.
Right.
Make him more effective. When you only have, we knew how many playmakers were on this team, but why isn't the ball in his hands? Well, one, you didn't commit to the run, and you didn't find schemes to run. See, when we had Fred Taylor here, we found different ways to create runs, okay? You just didn't toss the ball and run outside. We had a rollback play. If we can get Fred to a 3 and a 6 technique, that was his outside play on a cutback. You know what I mean? Or if we had a 5 technique, we had Tony Baselli on the backside with a 3 technique, and he could double on the backside, and knowing that we got the safety front side, and we can develop a run that's going to cut back away from the forced safety. And just because they have 7 guys in the box doesn't mean they take you out of a run. You can run the counter play, and I don't care if the safety's standing on the tight end. Unless he's in a blitz mode, he's not going to make the play. So why are you not? See, we had plays where we'd say, all right, it checks to a pass. But then we'd have plays that, no, it's not checking to a pass. We're going to run it no matter what. Plus, you also have 8-man runs. So you couldn't have the mentality of the coordinator, and I give Tom credit for this. If we call a run, we're going to run an 8-man front run no matter what.
Is that stubborn, or is that just you knew you had it blocked up?
We got it blocked up to the front side.
Yeah.
It's not going to cut back. It's going to be a boss play to the front side. It's going to be an 8-man front. You can zone it. You can block down. You can pull around on it. You can gap block. You do things. You can control your formations. You can bring your formations in to block the extra guy in the box.
Defensive coordinator over here is saying, I got to do whatever I can, right?
Right. Well, unless it's blitz zero, you can still have certain runs because you'll get in certain formations that these guys will say, hey, we're going to check to this versus a contractual formation. And the only thing they can do is bring both corners off the edge. But we're going to run the inside zone, and we're going to have the Z 5 yards from the tight end. We're going to have the X 5 yards from the tight end, and we're still going to sit there and run routes, flat routes, and Q routes and say, hey, defend it, okay, in the pass game. But we're going to have runs that it's not going to take Fred out of the game. Okay?
That's
you can
what I
flip
think.
the tight end. You flip the tight end to get the front you want. I'm not seeing the creativity. You want to be creative in the pass game? Be the same creativity in the run game to create holes.
And that's really what we talk about when I think the one thing you couldn't really see in OTAs is they have gap blocking schemes, which we didn't have offensively here a year ago.
Really?
They've got them. They just can't do them without the pads on. You know what I mean? They didn't run them that much.
Who said back in the day we did? Didn't matter if pads on or not.
I guess so.
You were allowed more.
You really couldn't see it. You know what I mean? But
you're right.
I think that's creating an opportunity. Whether or not the offensive line is better, I think it comes down to scheme as much as it does
because
how good
college football has changed a lot of things. They think that the RPO, which is fine. The RPO is the best 3-step drop you can get. You know the old school play action. We go to the play action, all of a sudden you tell the line, you say, line, that doesn't look like play action. But if you say RPO,
everybody freezes just for a half a second.
Running, because you're telling these guys, just run the run.
Yeah.
Run the run block play.
Right.
Yeah.
And they will fire out. But if you say play action, they're worried about getting beat.
Yeah, because when you commit to it, it forces you up front to be tough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is basically saying this is a tough man sport. This is a big man pants sport. We're gonna run it anyway.
Right.
So buckle up.
Right. And the numbers, I'm looking for the numbers here real quick, and I've repeated them a few times on the show, and it drives me crazy. Coach Campbell knows this. It just ticks me off. Basically, 73% of run calls were run in between the tackles last year. So that's more than 7 out of 10 run plays, which was near the bottom of the pack. It's ridiculous. That cannot survive, especially what we're talking about. Right. If ETN is a Christian McCaffrey type of guy, what the H are you doing in between the tackles all the time?
But if you're going to run 73% of the time, you better have some furniture movers up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to have guys who want to get their hands dirty, who want their knuckles to bleed. I mean, you got to have bar fight players between your center and your two guards.
Yeah,
they got to be some tough. You know what?
Yeah, exactly.
But you can't allow the defense to dictate getting out of the run.
Right.
You have to put yourself in formations that keep the run on. It's okay, they'll come back and say, well, the RPO took the runs away. Well, take the RPO off.
Mm-hmm.
Just change the formation.
Mm-hmm.
There are times to RPO and there's times not to RPO. Because if they have the linebacker and the safety in the box, well, what's he going to do? He's going to pull back and he's going to throw it.
Yeah.
Okay? But you gotta have the point where he's guessing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You can still be 3 wides and spread everybody out and run the ball either with an RPO and a run, but you, like I said before, you can run to the weak side by a formation that keeps the safety to the tight end, and we'll run weak.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, good stuff from all you guys. We got to work in a little college with both of our former college player, Michigan fullback, Central Connecticut over here, but they both also had heydays at Miami and Michigan. So we'll do that coming up with our Hurricane Hall of Famer, Leon Searcy. It is a Beaver Chevy Toyota Mitsubishi Tuesday.
I want you to promise me something. I want you to play life just like you played that game today. So when that final buzzer of life goes off, you'll have no regrets.
1010XL. Want to bet on sports but no clue where to start? Millions of players are already making moves on Hard Rock Bet. Your friends might be winning. Why not you? Bet with confidence. Bets by real players help guide your picks. Go with the crowd and cash in on the wins. Any pick that catches your eye. Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us. New players bet $5 and get $150 instantly in bonus bets. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
To get this thing unwrapped here.
Praz, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, Dan. I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. John's County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Daily Stash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, like me. I'm sure there's a Daily Stash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course,
oven roasted beef, Munster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
That's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it," and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Daily Stash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Daily Stash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
Duck Duck Rooter. We've seen it all. Whatever's blocking your pipes, we'll get it flowing again. Call 904-862-6769 now to schedule your drain cleaning service. That's 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckrooter.com.
Hey, Hicken here, and I'm going to talk about skin. Yeah, it's hot outside, folks. The oven is on. Temps are in the 90s, and it's only getting hotter. I love the summer, but my skin doesn't. I do my best with dry fit shirts, big floppy hats, plenty of water. My secret weapon, though, the sunscreen. I use it regularly. Maybe you should as well. Look, I've also been seeing docs at Beaches Dermatology for years, and my skin thanks me for it. I'm telling you, it could save your life. Book your appointment today at beachesdermatology.com.
Send your favorite person a sweet summer surprise today from Kuhn Flowers, creating memories for over 70 years. This is JJ, and it's just so easy. Order online at kuhnflowers.com, Jacksonville and Ponte Vedra. I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reese Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
Maxed out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Prosser here. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. That's Loan Pronto. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is an A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. Call now and start the conversation. Go to loanpronto.com or call 999-1508. That's loanpronto.com.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a slip and slide gone wrong? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Say goodbye to glasses and contacts with customized vision treatments at Bowden Eye & Associates. Hey, Hicken here. Dr. Bowden and his expert team bring you all the latest options like Evo implantable Caliber lenses, refractive lens exchange, or traditional LASIK. Tailored just for you. Imagine waking up to clear vision. No hassle, no fuss. You ready to see the difference? Call now or visit BowdenEye.com for a free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the first coast focused.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. This is XL Primetime, brought to you by Florida Home AC. Now that's cool on 1010XL.
Having a good time today, talking about the present and the past. We've got our head coach, Dave Campo, and with us, Gerald Ingram, one of the former Jaguar coaches. He coached Fred Taylor, ever heard of him, and a handful of others, including Tiki Barber up in New York under Coach Tom Coughlin on his way to 2 Super Bowl appearances and victories in the Hurricane Hall of Famer. I didn't mean to say there were appearances and victories with the Super Bowl. But with you right there, I didn't mean to say that.
That's fine. You cut it to the white meat.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that.
That's all good.
I honestly did not mean to do that. But we will go down memory lane right now because we've been talking a little bit about what it takes to get the job done and win and so on and so forth. But we've been talking a lot of NFL, so let's at least throw a little college at them. And we know the stakes are pretty high this year for Miami. Mm-hmm. Gerald Ingram is a Michigan grad, a proud Michigan grad, played fullback up there. Jim Harbaugh won him a natty, wasn't that long ago, and then Sharon Moore had his struggles this past year, Coach, and they're still talking about them recruiting lights out. They got a uber talented kid that's coming in Bryce Underwood to play quarterback. What do you think? How do you think they're going to look?
Well, from what I've seen, they look pretty good.
Yeah.
He's going to have, he's young, and it'll be interesting to see what his first year is like. But I thought Sharon Moore's done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
as long as he keeps beating Ohio State, I'm happy.
They keep sending.
I mean, I was worried about Jim there for a while about Ohio
exactly.
State. I mean, as far as the big red letter games and things like that, I mean, he was doing all the other things that was great, but things finally came together, and he got the natty because those kids decided to come back, and so did Ohio State.
Right.
Those kids decided to come back, and they should have. Can you imagine Michigan beat them by not having a quarterback?
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about a quarterback in the parking lot.
Yeah. Not even. Yeah.
Not even.
It still blows my mind. And there's something on X right now. And, of course, Michigan will keep trolling Ohio State, even though Ohio State has the national championship. That doesn't matter because they beat them. And it's been so many days since they last won up in Ann Arbor. So that pressure will be on. And like we said, Michigan, Miami, everybody's in this conversation right now as far as getting the job done.
Yeah, I mean, well, Miami, especially with Mario, because he's done a phenomenal job recruiting. He doesn't like the way they finished last year. And I don't like the way they finished down the stretch. And and the Miami fans got a little upset with me. I said that they wasted Cam Ward. When you have such a phenom like that, with led the country in completion percentage, passing yards, and touchdowns, and you can't win the ACC or make the tournament? I mean, 10-3 is fine, but I mean, that kid, you don't go 10-3 with that kid. You play in the playoffs with that kid, and I would have loved to see him play in the playoffs with the type of season. But the reason why we were in that position is because we couldn't stop anybody defensively.
Yeah, right.
We could not stop it. Coach, that's almost sacrilegious to say that Miami football can't play no defense.
Especially with all the athletes.
Exactly, that part.
I mean, it's crazy, But
so,
one thing with Coach.
Yeah.
I have a bucket list. I'm getting towards the end. I have a bucket list. They say that the Ohio State-Michigan game is the greatest game in college football.
Oh, it is by far.
I want to go to one of those games. I've never been there.
Sitting there.
That's with a lot of Michigan bias. He's saying it's no question.
10,000
But I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna hit you up. Some people over there because that's one of my bucket lists is to go there in one of those games.
All right, I know the answer to this question from you, Coach, but the Big House versus the Horseshoe, where if it is a bucket list one time, I know your answer.
They're wannabes. Penn State has surpassed the Horseshoe.
Yeah.
Even Tennessee has, for that matter.
Yeah.
I'm never going to vote for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ever since Woody was gone, to be honest, my first trip coming out of high school was Penn State, and my next one was Ohio State with Woody Hayes. Wow. And it was the first week he was fired.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So I'm at home watching him hit that kid in the Clemson game in the Gator Bowl.
Right here in Jacksonville.
And that next week I went, and Earl Bruce ended up being head coach, and Steve Zabel was on that staff.
So you went in the late 70s.
79.
Okay, to Michigan. Okay. Wow.
So that's you were talking about great All-Americans.
Yeah.
Anthony Carter, who was a Florida kid at Riviera Beach. He was a 4-year All-American wide receiver in my class.
Yeah.
And he was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate.
Right out the gate.
Yeah.
And the other player, was Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Was in my fifth year. We played Auburn in the Sugar Bowl, and it was Bo's rookie year, freshman year.
Okay. Yeah. And he was some kind of good.
He was special.
Special. And look, I don't know what Travis Hunter's going to be, but Bo Jackson was that type of guy.
Yes.
Correct? That type of guy. When you guys think of basically where we are now, and we talk about it all the time on this show, NIL, transfer portal, all that kind of stuff. You mentioned Ohio State, Michigan, just how big the rivalry is, a bucket list type of thing. What do you think about the portal, NIL, where we are right now in college?
For years I used to think the portal was necessary for quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel sorry for them because Dan Marino came out my year, and there were quarterbacks out there, and he was from the same area. If a guy like that comes in, those guys in front of him never got a chance to play. Okay,
that's a good. Yeah.
You started his first year, and,
right.
and for the next
rest
year,
is history. Yeah.
The rest is history, and that happens every year. And that's one position that happens to quarterbacks that they'll never get a shot unless there's an injury.
Yeah,
they'll never get a shot. And I thought, okay, one day that would be good. Now that became a transition for those guys, and they had to sit out a year. Now they can go as many times as they want, which is wrong. You and I had talked about it. I said, hey, they really should only have one shot.
One shot. Right.
You do the
No
research,
questions asked,
you do whatever.
free transfer. Yeah.
All these kids, it's too easy to just say, hey, I quit. I'm going here. It doesn't work out. It used to be a thing Bo Schembechler used to say, those who stay will be champions. Yeah. Okay? But they used to say, hey, when you quit, we never used to hear about those guys being successful, going somewhere. It was too easy for those guys to quit and never really learn how to fight through things. I never once thought about quitting. We started off with 36 people in my class. There was 18 by the end of my freshman year. It wasn't for everybody.
Right.
Bo didn't care. It wasn't just the winning for Bo Schembechler. It was about making men be better men for him. He was going to teach, but he learned from Woody. He was going to teach them, there's a way that you conduct business. And Bo used to say, if you can play in front of 100,000 people, you can handle anything in life. He'd say it over and over again. The parody of football and survival and being successful and learn how to be a champion. And you champion life the rest of your life. He talked about it all the time. Yeah. You can do this, but you can't do it if you quit.
Right. And there's a little element
builds character.
Of that right now.
Listen, a little adversity builds character.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what athletics does.
Yeah, it does. It builds character. It shows you, adversity shows who you really are.
Right.
When you go through tough times. Are you going to cower in the corner or you going to come out swinging?
Yeah. Right.
That's what adversity does.
And then also, like, putting in your time like you did and basically seeing that escalator of success take you to the top. And it's too often these guys, they don't wait for the escalator. They're up and out.
But I will say there were certain situations that happen in recruiting at some schools, and it's hard.
Yeah.
When you go to recruit a kid out of high school and you say, hey, I got 28 scholarships, and you don't really know who you're going to get. And there are some schools, all of a sudden, they sign 7 running backs.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, we're going to get them here, and we're going to move them to this position, that position, kind of like you were talking about Marshall Faulk. Right. And those things happen. And I remember some guys, if they had gone to Mid-American Conference or were somewhere else, they might have been pretty good players.
I'll tell you a quick story. Of exactly that. We had a kid in Connecticut that was a quarterback at New London High School, where I ended up coaching. This was when I was playing.
Right.
Dave Connors. He was recruited by everybody in the country, quarterback, big quarterback, right? He picks Purdue. He goes to Purdue, and he's like 5th string. He works his way up for 2-3 years. He's now the backup quarterback. The next year, it's his job, except for one thing. Bob Greasy came there next year.
Yeah, that's it. And then Bob Greasy and Steve Spurrier went back and forth for the Heisman. And Bob's still bitter about that.
So he never played, which if there was a portal situation,
he would have a chance.
Even that last year, he could have said, okay, I'm going to go to Central Connecticut. I'm at least going to play a year. He didn't play at all during the time.
It does. That part of it, the one free transfer, I'm all about it. But then after that, it does get a little cloudy. Right. All right, so almost done. I do love that, but we'll wrap our show up with just coming back to the present just a little bit more with the Jags before we are done. Beaver, Chevy, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Tuesday on XL Primetime.
Put some paint on your quarter panel.
Trouble left turn number 2. A couple of cars spin. Kyle Busch is one of them.
Sunday at the Chicago Street Race. NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on Jacksonville's NASCAR station, 1010XL.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU. Southeast orthopedic specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast orthopedic specialists for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast orthopedic specialists take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast orthopedic specialists.
First Coast. I'm sure by now now, you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it, they do it. Whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today. 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
This Day in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On July 1st, 1982, Cal Ripken made the first of his record 2,216 consecutive MLB starts at shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles.
Hey, Jacksonville, need a fence and ready to save? At Superior Fence and Rail, you'll lock in 5% off your fence project when you sign by the end of July. A limited time offer for savings and peace of mind this summer. Now accepting appointments for a free estimate. So act fast and get 5% off your entire fence project when you finalize by July 31st. Cannot be combined with other offers. New contracts only.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If you have a school, team, or group that would benefit from a team store, you're in luck because we now offer team stores. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Grow your hair back. IHRS offers the latest technology of hair transplants and restorative treatments.
Fast, easy, and effective.
With over 35 years' experience, our team is committed to delivering exceptional results. Hair restoration is for us, and it can be for you too.
See how IHRS technology can grow your hair back. Go to hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS, 777-4477 for $250 off.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. Hurricanes happen in Florida. That's not news. But what happens even more often than hurricanes are home break-ins. And if security is important to you, you might want to look into hurricane-rated impact windows.
What you may not know is that hurricane-rated impact windows not only help protect your home in case of a hurricane, but they also offer another level of security for your home.
Have you seen those videos on YouTube that show people trying to break through an impact window? A thief is way too lazy to spend his energy trying to break through one of our impact windows. That's why he doesn't have a real job like you. He'd rather break your non-impact window while you're at work. Window World has high-quality, very affordable hurricane-rated impact windows to help protect your home from hurricanes and from lazy thieves.
Call us today at 904-443-7001. Get a free estimate and see for yourself. You save energy, get more security, and the windows add value to your home. With all Window World windows, you get the best guarantee in the window replacement business.
Window World,
simply the best for less.
And thank you for your business.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is thrilled to announce you can get all of their flavors and original vodka at PJ Liquors in St. Augustine. PJ Liquors, since 1999, has been serving up summertime fun. Now enjoy Brackish Vodka, the #1 local vodka in North Florida. Brackish Vodka is the first clean craft vodka, and you can find their 9 flavors at PJ Liquors. Brackish Vodka, for whatever your sport is. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing
and Contracting of Jax Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jax Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since 87.
All right, well, my takeaway is that I always talk about the fact that I was blessed to have Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, Bill Cowher, and Tom Coughlin. We're talking about Hall of Fame coaches, college or professional. Well, what you don't account for is the assistants that they hire.
Right.
These two guys right here don't come no better than Coach Campbell and Coach Ingram. As far as coaching, as far as motivating men, as far as winning.
And Coach Mazer.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
Coach Mazer. They might be a little subtle right now because we're on a radio show, but on the sideline, they are animated. Trust me, they get after it pretty good. So I just wanted to give a shout out to my true friends, Coach Campbell and Gerald Ingram. Appreciate
that's a good one. That's a good one. Takeaway, Coach.
My takeaway is, I really didn't get to know Coach Ingram until we went to the golf tournament, to Leon's golf tournament. And I'll tell you what, I hope we become friends because we have a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
And I was a Giants fan for 41 years until I went to the Cowboys. So being around, I knew of him for many, many years. And my takeaway is there's a reason that he's got two Super Bowl rings. And it's not just Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
It's what Leon just said about coaching.
I've been blessed to be around some great people, and just like you, Dave, it's been great because I was in charge of blitz, and I had to bring all the blitzes together and draw all the blitzes. And when you're a coordinator and head coach,
right?
I've heard so many players respect you as a person, as a coach, as a teacher. And if it wasn't for Tom Coughlin and Bo Schembechler and Lloyd Carr, who took me home as assistant coach at the University of Michigan and directed me into coaching because I wasn't going in that direction at all. And they saw something in me, and I was able to stick with it. And I was with Tom at Boston College, and I was able to come here, and then he asked me to go with him, in New York. And I've met so many great teachers, and Kevin Gilbride, just great people. But it's amazing. You talk about coaches, but it's amazing how much you learn from the players because they also have been with great teachers. And what's great for me is to sit on the bus and ask, Leon and Kurt Warner. I used to talk to Kurt Warner all the time, still talk to Kurt. And I said, well, when are you going to become a coach? Family, this and that. I got to do high school and this and that. He would be a phenomenal head coach. But you get to know these guys who really love the game for what the game is about. It's a great profession. I've been blessed to be around with so many. And I tell youth kids and high school kids and college kids, I said, hey, show me the people you surround yourself with one day. I'll show you how your future is going.
Yeah, it's an excellent point.
That's excellent.
And by the way, I think more kids that are in sports that grow up, they will remember those coaches for the rest of their lives. Yes. More than teachers, more than a lot of other things. But you guys know you can have a major impact on young people.
Definitely. I brought my high school coach my second Super Bowl. The first one was so gratifying, and Coach would tell you, there's nothing like winning a Super Bowl. It's just like, you feel like Rocky. You're like,
especially against those undefeated Patriots.
It's an unbelievable feeling.
I'm Apollo Creed.
And the second well, somebody had to play that part.
But it is true. Honestly, when you say Rocky, that was the Giants against the undefeated Patriots. There's no getting away from that. Right. And honestly, just as a sports fan, I'll never forget that. That's whatever it was, the 16th game when it was when they were undefeated, and Coach Coughlin said that team's playing. Giants are taking the field. That you guys gain nothing.
But you know what? You think about the whole season.
So good.
It's amazing. It goes right by. And standing there, you think about all the good things, bad things, what brought you together, what was hard. Yep. It's a long season. Mm-hmm. And you got to have some luck go your way, too.
Yeah.
But when you have your shot as a team, you better understand it. And we were this close. I truly believe
here in
we
Jacksonville.
Played that here in Jackson, when we played that game, I knew we were, before the game started, I knew we were packing our stuff and going to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew, and I was so hurt. And was hurt for years. I was still hurt. Yeah. Because people don't realize how different Jacksonville would be.
Oh, absolutely.
Just finally crossing that bridge and winning one.
Like, we were packed and ready to go because it was a quick turnaround. So we went up to Atlanta and did Radio Row and all that kind of stuff. But most people thought there's no way that team could lose to that team 3 times in 1 year. And it was just hard.
Well, I mean, listen, TC prophesized it at 96. He was like, listen, we're going to go to the playoffs and we're going to host. He always talked about the road to the Super Bowl has to come through Jacksonville. Yeah. That's all he preached. Mm-hmm. Has to. If we get that opportunity where the road to the Super Bowl has to come through Jacksonville, we got to make the most of it.
Yeah,
that's what makes it.
It was there. You're right.
We created a mentality here, though.
Yeah.
You know, when we talked about our division, but he knew we had to be fit to win it. We're going to have to be tough.
Yeah. And that's got to get back
in-house
to Duval.
And that's how I was saying that it's going to come from this as much as it is from the practice.
Get it.
You gotta sell it.
Well,
you gotta
speak it into existence, live it every single day, and believe it. And so I'm hoping, and I don't know whether Liam Cohen's going to be a great head coach or not, or James Gladstone's going to be able to find all the intangibly rich people he can find on the earth. Mm-hmm. I have no idea, but that has to come back because, like you said, Tom believed in it, worked his tail off to get it, got guys that worked their tail off to get it, got coaches that never stopped preparing and putting people in position to be successful. And that was grossly absent here a year ago.
Well, every player has to do a self-evaluation. Are you doing enough? Mm-hmm. I know what I used to do before I went to camp. I always looked in the mirror and said, don't let you be the problem.
Yeah.
Don't let you be the problem. Don't let you be the reason why you lose games. And if everybody took that approach towards the game, because listen, we care more about, as far as players, what our teammates think about us. Mm-hmm. You know, we carry a mantle of physicalness, toughness, and no one in that locker room wants to be told they're not tough or they're not physical. Mm-hmm. But you got to show it. You got to show it every Sunday. Not only the mental attitude, the mental part, as well as the physical part.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't want to be called soft without a T.
Without a T, no.
Yeah, and that's bad. Yeah. That is bad. That's for sure.
But you also saw here a couple of years ago when they did win, you got to learn how to win.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Tom taught us, that his fear of complacency, that's all Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's learning how to win. That you're not your team is not complacent, and all of a sudden they're feeling really good about them because they've won 6 straight or they've won 8 straight, and all of a sudden things are going good, and all of a sudden it falls apart, and you become a cliffhanger. Yeah. It's about consistency, and you should carry your business every single day like you've lost it.
Yeah.
Or about to lose it. Right. Don't get too happy about yourself, because the NFL is a roller coaster ride for some people. But Kansas City, they're the team still to beat. Yeah. No matter if they lose the Super Bowl, you don't think that they're not going to come back?
Yeah.
That's what they've always done. Now, there's a few teams, right now you can say, hey, them, Buffalo Bills, the Eagles, there's still a lot of teams that are trying to, what's their identity right now in the NFL?
Yeah.
They used to be strong,
Well,
it's going to be an interesting year this year.
This team they figured out consistency. It's just been in the bad.
The wrong direction.
Okay, they need to be consistent, kind of like this guy, consistently good.
Right.
Now, the 2-minute drill on 1010XL.
All right, that's our man, the embedded and shredded Hayes Carline. Consistently good, sir.
I try, I try. I've got a lot of good inspiration around here,
you don't disappoint.
Easy to stay consistent.
Yeah.
I got to keep up.
Yeah.
If I don't stay consistent, Coach, I'm gonna fall behind.
Absolutely.
And they'll run your big butt right out of
right.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
But we've had a good time trying to figure out the ills and the answers. So what do you got coming up?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk a lot of college football coming up on the Frangie Show today. I want to get into the SEC Big Ten, whether it's a merge or whether it's just an agreement.
Right.
I want to start putting matchups together that I want to see, SEC versus Big Ten, how they should do it. Start a tradition. I like a relegation and a promotion, maybe do different pods. So we're going to have some fun with that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the best players in the SEC. The Athletic did a great top 25 best players in the SEC this coming season. Thought that was really interesting. And we'll talk a lot of Jaguars. Josh Hines-Allen was on the Rich Eisen show, talked about Travis Hunter. This is something we haven't talked about. I'm curious to see. It was interesting hearing Josh talk about Travis. But I'm curious to find out as we get into this, how do the players feel about this vision of him playing both ways? I mean, I think they're supportive of it.
Sure.
But it's going to be curious to see how that works, particularly if he has some blown assignments, which is to be expected when you're carrying that much weight mentally and trying to master two different positions and know inside and out what the opponent wants to do on both sides of the ball. So a lot of fun stuff coming up on the Frangie Show. Frank on vacation this week. He'll be back on Monday. So it'll be me, Hacker, and JJ.
All right, sounds good, Hayes.
Thank
we'll be
you, guys.
listening, bro.
All right.
Look forward to that, that's for sure. Listen, thanks to both of you guys. Big Sirs, love that we were able to get both of them together at the same time. Coach Campo's taking off to Dallas for a little respite, a little R&R. And Coach Ingram, we appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have you back soon as well. Thanks to both of you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, coaches.
Yep. Appreciate it.
All right, we are done. Beaver Chevy, Beaver Toyota, Beaver Mitsubishi, brand new Mitsubishi lineup of cars in St. Augustine on US 1, and now they're brand new Toyota dealership 95 and 207, and of course Beaver Chevy on Phillips. We are out for Big Sirs, Coach Campo, for Coach Ingram and JJ, Joe C. Turn you loose on the Frangie Show coming up.